Before tanks, before drones, and even before gunpowder, terror on the battlefield could come on four legs. Amidst shouts, spears, and swords, a swift shadow crossed the warfields of Rome. Muscular, agile, obedient, yet fierce. It was not a man nor a horse. It was the Canis Pugnax, the Roman war dog, bred by the Romans to protect, hunt, fight, and kill. The Canis Pugnax was not a camp pet. It was a living weapon. Today, few people know its name. It was forgotten by history books, but never by the legionaries who trusted their lives to it. To understand how this lethal creature came to be, we need to go back in time to the mountains of Greece and the monster breeders of the ancient world. The name Canis Pugnax, in Latin, literally means combat dog. But the animal behind that name did not appear by chance. It was shaped through the brutal selection of wars, hunts, and sieges over centuries. Its origins trace back to the Greek Molossus, an ancient breed of massive dogs used to protect herds and property in the mountainous regions of Epirus, land that today corresponds to Albania and northwestern Greece. Philosophers like Aristotle and poets like Virgil spoke of these dogs as true beasts, domesticated, loyal to their masters, but capable of tearing a lion's throat if needed. The Romans, always attentive to the practical qualities of other peoples, saw a diamond in the rough in the Molossus. They began importing them, crossing them with local breeds and barbarian war dogs. Faster, more aggressive, and less predictable. The goal was to create the perfect combat dog, large yet agile, strong, obedient. Thus emerged the Canis Pugnax, a dog about 60 centimeters tall, weighing between 40 and 50 kilograms. Its dark fur made it less visible at night, with a deep guttural bark and a naturally territorial and protective instinct. A true canine gladiator. By the 2nd century BC, Rome's public spectacles evolved from simple gladiator duels to full-blown operas of violence. And dogs, especially the Canis Pugnax, became part of this macabre show. Trained to attack with precision, ignore pain, and react to the scent of blood, these dogs were not presented as companions, but as execution beasts. They entered the arena to chase condemned criminals, face unarmed prisoners, or even fight against exotic beasts brought from distant lands. Lions, bears, giant wild boars. Before the fights, they were kept fasting for days to ensure even more aggressive behavior. And when the chains were released, the crowd erupted. The brutality wasn't an accident. It was the climax of the spectacle. Some dogs became so famous they were given names and popular ovations, like true four-legged gladiators. In the arena, the Canis Pugnax was treated as a living weapon, but its true calling was still to be revealed. And soon, Rome would discover that this animal could be much more than a circus monster. It could be a soldier. With the expansion of the empire, Rome began waging wars in every corner of the known world, and facing enemies with surprising tactics. Among them, one caught particular attention: war dogs used by the Celts, Scythians, Germans, and Britons. These dogs attacked with blind ferocity. They leaped over shields, tore at the legs of legionaries, and protected the bodies of their masters with claws and teeth. Rome understood the message and decided to create its own monsters. The answer was the refinement of the Canis Pugnax, now crossbred with barbarian breeds to increase its aggression and speed. But the true Roman difference was not only physical, it was doctrinal. Unlike tribal dogs that attacked anything that moved, the Roman Canis Pugnax was trained to act like a legionary. Attack only on command, recognize allies, hold position even under stress, and die alongside its master if necessary. And that's how the Canis Pugnax left the arena and entered formation, marching alongside armed men, not as an animal, but as part of the deadliest military machine of the ancient world. Like any recruit of the Legion, the dog underwent a rigorous training regimen designed to transform its raw instinct into military discipline. First, it had to identify the scent of its comrades, distinguish allies from enemies, and respond only to specific commands. ignoring provocations and the sounds of battle. The goal was to create a dog that would not retreat, get distracted, or hesitate. They marched alongside the soldiers, covering up to 35 kilometers a day, often carrying small backpacks strapped to their backs with food, messages, or campaign supplies. They slept in the camps, stood guard during the night, and alerted to the presence of the enemy long before human sentinels. In the castra, the fortified camps, the Canis Pugnax played vital roles, defending the perimeters, protecting supplies, and even guarding prisoners. In areas of constant conflict, like Germania or Dacia, the presence of these dogs significantly increased the security of the troops. More than a fierce animal, the Canis Pugnax was part of the legion. It lived, marched, and died alongside the soldiers, not out of instinct, but due to a loyalty forged in every battle. Although official accounts rarely give attention to dogs on the battlefield, between the lines, history tells a different story. In the Battle of Vercellae, in 101 BC, the Cimbri used fierce dogs to protect their camps. According to reports, these animals fought until the end, even after the death of their masters. They endured more than many human soldiers. The image of those dogs defending palisades, biting shields, and falling pierced by spears remained etched in the memory of the Romans. During Julius Caesar's campaigns in Gaul and Britannia, reports mention guardian dogs among the enemy tribes. Rome's response was simple: adopt, train, and integrate. From that point on, Canis Pugnax began to accompany detachments, especially in hostile regions like Germania, Thrace, and Dacia, where the challenging terrain required constant vigilance. There are even visual representations, such as the sculptures on the column of Marcus Aurelius, showing dogs alongside legionaries. Although their exact function, tracking, protection, or attack, is not clearly described, their presence was not symbolic, it was tactical. They were not weapons of mass destruction like catapults. They were precise weapons used where fear, darkness, or ambushes required more than what human eyes could see. Despite their strength, bravery, and military usefulness, the Canis Pugnax never received the same recognition as war horses, generals, or military inventions. Few written records, no dedicated chronicle, no military treatise details it as it deserves. But that doesn't mean their presence went unnoticed by those who truly mattered, the soldiers. Many legionaries treated their dogs with more regard than their own slaves. They were fed special rations, received makeshift medical care, and in rare cases even offered burial with tombstones and inscriptions as family members. It wasn't uncommon for a retired veteran to return to his village with a Canis Pugnax by his side. As the centuries passed, while the empire transformed and warfare changed, the original lineage began to fade, crossed with other breeds, or extinguished by changes in combat style. But traces remained. Modern breeds like the Neapolitan Mastiff or the Cane Corso carry fragments of that disciplined beast from Caesar's time in their genetics and behavior. So now that you know the story of this extraordinary creature, tell me, doesn't the Canis Pugnax deserve a place of honor alongside the heroes of Rome?